training partners. Here come your training partners. So smart, so strong, so funny. Let's go with your training partners.
Team, welcome to Training Partners, where two fitness professionals bring you strong takes held loosely. I'm Weezy Shoemaker, joined as always by Justin McClintock, who at time of recording has just returned from Vegas.
This is accurate. Yep. Just returned, slept my little heart out, and I am happy to be home in all my normal patterns, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, it was later last night I got back.
Yeah. I wonder how dramatically your schedule was different from your schedule when you're at home.
Well, so I mean, I was at a coaching conference, right? And the schedule basically ran from 7 a.m., which was like a group breakfast, to 7 p.m., just sort of the end of group dinner, or 8 p.m., something in there. It's like 7, so like 12, 13-hour stretch, which is not that wildly different than a normal day for me, but it's really dense.
Right.
And it's a lot of being on in different ways. It's, I walk out of my hotel room and I'm already like interacting and bumping into people and all of this stuff. And it's overwhelmingly like really positive. Some new people, some friends I've known before, a few people that like I've developed collegial friendships through Instagram, but we've never been in the same place. I had a client who was our mutual friend Mindy was there. And we got to actually see each other in real life for the first time in a year.
Yeah.
So it was great. And overwhelmingly, I liked the presentations and the people and all that. But it is really like high stimulus being on, taking in a ton of education and information, doing a ton of being nice and talking. And what do you do? Well, this is what I do. Well, here's where I am. Well, here's so you can find me. And always balancing it against. And I think I did the best job ever this year of like being really authentic and not trying to follow someone else's playbook, if that makes sense. Like I don't think I shot any content really while I was there. I did like a couple stories and things like that, but I wasn't setting up things or doing things for Instagram or for newsletter purposes or to prove that I was there or take pictures with cool people. And there were a lot of cool people there, but really just do the stuff I wanted to do in my way, which felt really good. But a 12-hour day of being on is pretty tiring. I was gassed at the end.
Yeah.
People were like going out and doing things. Like first of all, I'm on East Coast time and I'm so tired at like 7 o'clock Vegas time. People are going out and going to clubs and going to a thing and having fun. And I am sneaking away back to my room and collapsing.
Back to your rum.
Back to my room.
Back to his rum. It just feels like it would just be so much mental and social energy that like, I haven't been like doing manual labor all day, but I get to the end of the day and I'm just gassed.
I've noticed at every conference I've been to, the energy on day 2 is a little different than the energy on day 1 because everyone's a little bit tired. And some people kind of misjudged what they had to give and how good of an idea it was to go out on night 1 when they still have day 2 coming and things like that. And which is good and useful. And I plan around it. This conference had 3 speakers in the morning and 4 speakers in the afternoon. And each afternoon I picked one speaker that I was just going to miss. We do get, part of attending this is you get sent all the recordings and all the presentations after the fact. So it's not that they weren't interesting or worthwhile. It was just sort of the things I thought would be the least useful or that I least needed to experience in person. And knowing I can't really do 4 hours in a row and stay focused and intentional and engaged and all of that. So I'm just going to pick a time to go for a walk or go back to my room or get some steps in or get some sun on my face or, kind of just shut off for a little while and escape from the mob. And there's no real escaping from the mob in Vegas, but at least escaping from all of the coaches and then coming back and being able to kind of plug back in.
Right. Yeah. I imagine that if I went to that conference next year, at every free possible moment of time, I would be alone with my headphones in somewhere in the sunshine. Don't speak to me. She's having lizard time.
I suggested that to people, and a number of coaches it hadn't occurred to them, or they came back with, well, how would we do that? This is a labyrinthine casino. It's really hard to get out of. I said, oh, I think I found the fastest way to the sunshine. You want to take a walk? It's like 3 minutes. They're like, really? Can we do that? Yes. And Vegas is deliberately confusing. They want to keep you inside. They want to keep you, especially on the gambling floor. It's not easy. But if you're like, oh, you just take the sky bridge to this escalator and cross this way, and the arrow points that way, but that arrow's a lie. You actually go this way and around the little column, and ta-da, you're outside in the sun.
Ta-da. Ta-da. That would be me.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you had a good time and that you traveled both there and home safely.
Yes, me too.
We are preparing here at time of recording for our grand opening party this weekend, which I'm very, very, very excited about. At this point, 47 people have RSVP'd.
Okay.
I think it's probably going to be higher than that because there's a number of people that are verbally committed that haven't RSVP'd, and then there's a number of others that are like, we will make it if we can, and we won't know until game time.
Right.
So I think it's possible that we get a pretty nice crowd, which I'm excited about. And so
what's the window for? Because it's like, is it like a 6 to 8
10
thing?
to
I don't
noon.
remember. 10 to noon. Okay, got
it. 10 to noon on Saturday. So, we'll have, I've spent, this shouldn't sound surprising to you, but kind of an agonizing amount of time, like thinking about what the experience will be like, because a number of them are clients, but a number of them are not. And I also have some other professionals who have reached out and said, hey, we would really like to get some time with you. And, hey, I don't have time to give you over the next 2 weeks, but if you're free for this, please come here. And so like a wide gamut of like, hey, we love Weiss and we support her and we would ride to the ends of the earth from her, to we heard about her on Instagram and this is going to be the first time that we interact with her. So when people walk in, they will be greeted by Coach Jackie, who's going to be up front in some sustained gear. She's going to be kind of directing traffic so that I don't have to do that, which I'm very grateful for. Right up front is going to be a mimosa bar and a coffee setup so that people can just like come in, grab something to drink and start to mill about. Bingo cards up front with like activity-based things. So like hold a 30-second plank on the surface of your choosing, or meet a graduated client, or fist bump somebody wearing green, like those types of things.
Nice.
And so there's, there's 25 items. And so you don't have to stop at bingo, particularly for my people who have some social anxiety and are like, great, we're in a relatively small space with 40 other people we've never met. Right. What do we do?
You also don't have to do it.
You also don't have to do it, right? Yeah. Making sure people know that they can come and go as they please. There's no obligation to be here at a certain time or to leave at a certain time, but we will cut a ribbon at 11:30 and have a little speech for that. My understanding is that one of the local TV stations here is going to be there for that, and pretty potentially getting some B-roll prior to that. Yeah, no fucking pressure. And I also, like, literally Tuesday of this week was like, I should probably have somebody there doing content.
Yeah.
Like, that feels like it's a good idea.
Yeah. Record a ton of stuff.
Right. And then was like, fuck, shit. But the guy, Taz, who did the free videos that I won and did such an incredible job. He's like such a professional. I messaged him and was like, yo, I'm certain you're booked, but if you're not, I'd like to pay you to come and do this. And here's the situation. And he does not have anything Saturday morning. So he is shockingly going to be here. So there will be like some continuity of editing style and coloration and all that. And my high point of the week, because as you can imagine, it's been a very, very busy week, like trying to kind of sprint finish to make this as cool as I want it to be without outsourcing any of it, while also managing a very, very full book of business and trying to hire somebody and trying to offboard some remote clients to Jackie. Like, we're going through it. It's been a week. And I am excited for the party to be here, and I'm equally excited for it to be over so that we can move on.
Very reasonable. Could I offer a dumb logistical thing that you've probably thought about, but I've run into on a couple of like grand opening things?
Yes.
Overcool the space. Because 45 people generate more heat than you would think when they're all standing around. And a place that's perfectly comfortable when you walk in, plus 40 people, is suddenly like sweaty and uncomfortable, and people start stepping outside and things just get icky. So like a little colder than you think it should be is probably the sweet spot.
That's a great idea. And likely have the fans going before they need to be going.
Yeah. And be ready for like the TV crew might ask you to shut the fans off for audio, potentially, or whatever's going on. You might find times when you want to turn it off. So having it cooler when people come in is probably better, because people have a way of warming things up, especially in like that kind of space without like a huge amount of ventilation.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I had not considered that. So I do appreciate that. That would have been those, it's feeling a little sticky in here. Too late.
I worked a very, very fancy Dom Perignon party once, and they had done a huge amount of decor with flowers, like tens of thousands of flowers were involved in like building walls and building ceilings and this incredible environment. And they covered every single HVAC vent in the place. And half an hour into the VVVIP party with a bunch of people whose names and everyone who's listening would know these names immediately, it was so incredibly uncomfortably hot and people were freaking out. I thought it was very funny because I was in charge of lighting. It looked incredible.
That was not...
It felt bad.
That was not your job. Not your job. That goes above
and there
my
wasn't much I could do to help.
Friend.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. So I don't think you're going to like our topic of conversation today very much.
Oh, this is the one, why Justin's terrible or something. I forget how you phrased it.
This is in fact why Justin is terrible. We're going to go bullet point by bullet point. Why Justin McClintock is terrible. No, that is incorrect. I think you're actually going to like this less than that.
Oh, okay.
Today we are talking about, when is ChatGPT a good idea?
So, before knowing nothing about where we're going, may I offer two small things?
Yes. You may offer as many small things as you like.
I sat in on a presentation this past weekend about how AI could be ethically, morally useful and do lots of good things in really high-level coaching and not take any of the humanity away from it or manipulate people or do things that aren't ethical. And most of the AI models out there are better than ChatGPT. ChatGPT is the most well-known one, but it's actually not that great and can't hang with a lot of the other ones. So maybe why AI is a good idea, but this is your horse and you can ride it any way you want.
No, I think that's great. I think, when is AI a good idea? When is AI a good idea? Right.
I understand why you said I wouldn't like this, because I'm pretty vociferously anti-AI on most things most of the time.
Right. Well, and to be like, to put the horse before the cart a little bit, I am as well. Or to put the cart before the horse. Shut the fuck up, Wheezy. Get your metaphors right. I am generally very opposed to AI as well. And so part of what we're going to talk about today is like the environmental impact about AI, because that's a big portion of me not being on board with it. And I had a spirited conversation with the love of my life, Ted Shoemaker, because he uses AI for some very particular things in his job. And he was able to articulate, like, here is why this was a good thing for me. And that led me down like, okay, well, what might I maybe not be thinking about?
Yeah,
here.
totally.
Right. So, what is AI doing in the first place? Right. It is a data aggregate. Right. Think of it as like a Google search on steroids. Right. Like its job is summarize complex topics and pool together the information that is out there on the internet. Like, imagine if you could ask a supercomputer to say, like, hey, scroll the whole internet and find me the 10 most relevant things to peptides, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to bring you back the 10 most relevant things to peptides based on however that algorithm has been built and trained.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that the things it brings back to you are correct.
Yeah, it may well be the 10 things that people say the most or have repeated the most.
Right.
Even if when they're saying it, they're saying, this is why this isn't true. It still may pop that as a positive result because it's not It's not smart. It's just collecting.
It's just collecting. Yep. Right. It's just sorting information. Right.
Yeah.
From a best use case standpoint for AI, the first one that came up that I'm a little like about is for brainstorming and ideation. Overcoming like your blank page syndrome by generating a jumping off point. I kind of think that's bullshit. Like, if you have to ask a robot what a good idea for a thing is, it's probably not a thing you should be talking about in the first place.
Yeah, and this is, I actually we had like a cool bunch of smart coaches by the pool moment in Vegas, and people were talking about different newsletters and Substack and emails and things that weren't kind of pure, quote unquote, pure social media ways to communicate and express and connect. And one of the people who was there, Jeb Stuart Johnson, who I love to death, he's a super cool guy. He's a great writer. He writes, I think, basically every day. And someone was asking him, but like, I want to put this out, but I don't know where to start. And he said, well, you could ask AI, like, if I was going to write an email about this, what would it look like? And it'll give you something. You should discount 95% of it, like truly throw most of it out, but take a nugget and then go write your own thing. Because if you just replace your name with whatever the AI spits out, what you're literally doing is publishing something that looks almost the same as everyone else. It's like drawing toward this mean, and it won't feel good to do. It's not going to be exciting. You're just copy pasting.
Right.
And it's not going to feel different than anything else or anybody else. So you're sort of wasting everyone's time, including yourself.
Right.
But if that's the thing, like do that a couple of times and you get the feel of what it is to write a long paragraph or an essay or something like that, then maybe the 4th or 8th or 12th time, you're able to say, oh, well, I just want to talk about client relationships. And you can start doing that.
Right.
And is that kind of like as a dumb tutor? Sure.
Right. Totally. I think where that can become where I'm really, really not on board with it is if that's an every time type of thing.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's just it's literally average. It's literally the average of other stuff.
So I started by saying, what are the best use cases for ChatGPT? And then said, well, there's this one, but I think it's trash.
Yeah, this isn't one of them.
So we can see how this isn't one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
The one that came up that led me down this thought path even in the first place was my husband works in a somewhat technical role, and he does not really come from a developer background. He knows some coding. He can speak some coding languages. That's not where his biggest strengths are. And so he uses AI quite a bit to help him write code or fix a bug or explain a programming concept so that he can do his actual job, which is the data analysis, which he can't do if the data is incorrect. right? So like
Right.
if the query I need to input into R is wrong and I can't figure out how to correct it, and no developer has any time to give me the time of day for the next 6 weeks, and I need to look at this, like, okay, well then I'm just going to take a second and ask AI, hey, what's the problem in my query? And it spits back, try this and try this and try this and try this.
Yeah.
What he's not doing is then loading all of the data in and saying, like, spit out an analysis for me. Like, no, that's my fucking job.
Yeah, exactly. And that makes sense. And I don't think we should stop saying it, but I'm going to take the tiniest digression here to say or remind people that AI is a marketing term.
Right.
It is not intelligence. It's a computer. It's usually a series of computers, but it's just a giant computer program using lots and lots and lots of computers for its processing power. That's what it's doing. So it's really like computer learning is a more accurate term for what it is. Having a computer read computer code and spit back where it sees the errors given the output you're looking for sounds like kind of a perfect use case for computer learning, for a supercomputer, or build me a little code robot that can scour this gigantic spreadsheet and return every instance of A, B, and C. Because that would take me 5 days, is a very kind of dumb, low intelligence thing. That's exactly the sort of thing that should be automated.
Right. And also, often he will then ask for explanations of errors in his code. And it will, like, he's then using it so that he needs to use it less.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like,
just making it better.
Love that.
Make it obsolete.
Right. Make it help you do your job a little bit better so that it then becomes obsolete.
Yeah, completely. I love it.
Another idea for when AI is appropriate is when you need to organize thoughts and reduce decision overwhelm.
Okay.
Imagine, like, I have a friend who I'm not going to name. We're going to try to obfuscate a little bit. It's not a client, it's a friend, who uses AI quite a bit, like more than I do in my life. And they keep getting sick. And they actually asked AI, like, hey, based off of everything that you know about me, can you see any reason for why I keep getting sick? And it spat back like, well, you looked for stress remedies a week ago, and you looked for like how to start a cut a couple of months ago, and you looked for how to rehab an injury a couple weeks before that, and you looked up like home remediation like after a massive devastating natural event. Could it be that your body is just so tremendously stressed that it is responding to you appropriately by saying, like, you won't sit down, so I'm going to do it for you.
Right.
And this friend was like, you just read me for filth. Right.
But also,
I'm not necessarily saying that we should do that. I'm not advocating for that. Right. Exactly. And this is a person who right now, like, truly, hand on my heart, does not have the resources for that kind of one-on-one support.
Yeah,
at this point. Right. And I'm not saying you should ask AI a ton of questions and then spit it back. However, it can be helpful if you have, like, let's say, hey, here's my big to-do list. Pick the thing for me that I need to start with first. This really resonates as, like, somebody who maybe has decision fatigue or has some executive functioning stuff and doesn't have a person on which they could rely for this. Hey, okay, robot, you do it. Right? You could also replicate this by, like, throwing darts at a dartboard. That would be basically the same. And if you're somebody who's kind of constantly running into this brick wall and is like, I wish that I had somebody to help me with this, and that is truly not accessible to me right now, it can help you reduce that decision overwhelm.
Yeah, I could imagine a version of this which would be pretty easy to do, where you keep a running to-do list. And every time something occurs to you, this is actually how I work on like really big projects all the time. I have like an endless to-do list that when it comes to my mind, I write it down, and we'll get to it in the next 3 days and kind of prioritize there.
Right.
You could write it down and give it a number, 1, 2, 3, how urgent it is, and just keep that list. And then when you have time for another thing, say, hey, smart to-do list, what should I do next? And it'll give you only the number ones. Said, here's the top 4 things that you need to deal with next. So instead of looking at a list of 50 things, now you're looking at a list of 4 things. You could say,
love it.
Oh, well, I'm going to take this one. Like, is that crazy high-tech advanced? No. Is it just the kind of useful thing that computers are good for? Yeah.
Yeah. This one I have some complicated feelings about as well. And I think we should talk about why it's maybe not always bad. Using AI for editing or refining, letting it rewrite text for better tone or brevity or grammar. I feel complicated about this because you have a brain and you should use it. And I have encountered, and I'm confident you have encountered as well, a number of people who are very, very intelligent, and they're very well spoken if you're speaking to them face to face, and they are perhaps less educated. And if you say, hey, put together like a letter to a professional, or you need to put together a deck, that is something that they would really, really struggle with.
Yeah.
And my preference would be, in that instance, great, hire a copy editor. And that might not be possible because of time or budget constraints. Right? I'm not okay with, hey, rewrite this to sound quippier, or here's my speech. Can you make it more serious, like in funeral tone? I don't think that's cool. I do think, hey, here's my idea. Can you make sure that the grammar is correct so that I can be taken seriously? Sick.
I think that's an easy yes, because at this point, no one thinks spell check is weird. Right? I type expecting spell check to catch myself and correct it. I don't even slow down, as you may have noticed. I would just type and hit send instantly and assume that the computer has sorted it out because I'm thinking too fast. That kind of grammar check, and there's a bunch of built-in grammar stuff that's almost standard with a lot of programs now.
Right.
I think is pretty straightforward. There is a gulf between that and write me a speech about this in this kind of tone.
Right.
Like there's way more room because, and I imagine we'll get to some of this, but the write me a speech stuff, you may well end up with a stolen speech. You may well end up with a speech somebody else wrote once upon a time that the computer has crawled and ripped and stolen and possibly pirated. And like taken something and you don't know what you're reading or spitting back.
Right.
There's a big difference between that and I wrote 3 paragraphs and this was supposed to be 7 sentences. What would a summary that keeps all of these words and sounds like this look like?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because the last and final when it's a good idea to use ChatGPT on the list is 4 quick summaries. Either distilling a long article or a report into key takeaways, or, hey, here's 1,000 words on this topic that I put together and I need it to be 250.
Full disclosure, that is how I generate the show notes for this podcast.
Sick.
So I feed it a full transcript of the podcast, all of our words, every word we said. Yeah. I usually say something like, hey, here's the podcast. Ignore all the bullshit at the beginning. Ignore the segment at the end. I just want a summary of the heart of what we talked about. And it will usually give me like an overly factual, overly specific thing. But then I remember, all right, the thing I recorded 7 weeks ago and edited most of 3 weeks ago, that's what this is. I can now rewrite it in my own words in 10 seconds instead of listening to an hour and 20-minute podcast again and taking notes on it or something like that.
Right.
I think it's a perfect use of that kind of technology.
Right. Exactly. Moving on to what I think we are going to agree on a whole bunch is when to be skeptical when AI is a bad idea.
Yeah.
At the very tippy top of the list, there's a lot of it. We're not going to cover every use case. In general, if you're asking yourself, should I use AI for this? The answer is probably no. Number one is when handling sensitive data,
Jesus
personal,
Christ.
financial, proprietary information, because everything that you feed into AI, really, truly, regardless of who it's through, whether it's ChatGPT or Claude or,
Yeah.
it might then be used for training other AI models or for training the humans that are running the AI models. That then means that what you are then putting on the internet is no longer proprietary information.
It's literally not your
Like
property anymore.
if you wouldn't buy a domain and put it on the front page of that, you probably shouldn't feed it into any AI ever.
Yeah.
Right.
People are doing some crazy pants things.
Right. Going along with that, stuff like if you're not sure what sensitive information would mean, social security, ID numbers, who you work for, financial details, sensitive medical data, confidential work documents, passwords, right? Like I met somebody, they won't listen to this, there's just no way. Who stored all of their passwords in the AI model that they used, and they'd be like, what's my password for this? Bestie, that's now like you've just told the internet what your password is, you big old dummy.
Yeah. With enough questions, I could probably design prompts to potentially get me your password.
Right. Exactly. Next one, which is where I expect we will spend a little bit of time, is on high stakes decisions, professional, legal, or medical advice without expert human verification. This is where I get a real bee in my bonnet about AI, and I imagine you do too, because people who need the support of a human who understands nuance and who is an expert in the field that they need support in goes and asks a data aggregate software what to do. Particularly when we're pertaining this over to like fitness and movement, I've had a number of clients who have come to me after trying to solve their problem with AI and making it worse and being like, hey, generate me a shoulder rehab program. And maybe the AI model asks them a couple of questions about like, where does it hurt and when does it bother you? But you and I both know that something can look like a dog and sound like a dog and smell like a dog and also still somehow be a baby deer.
Yeah, exactly. And there's been a lot of this. There's been some really nasty stories, both like fitness, injury, medical stuff. There's been a ton of legal stuff. Some very, very, very expensive legal firms have gotten into a bunch of trouble for submitting things that were obviously AI generated because a bunch of stuff in there didn't exist. Like citing in very big deal cases, they submit a brief and it cites all the supporting cases, and the cases just never existed. AI made them up. It's useful. It might be useful at this point to like take a moment and talk about, there's a few different kinds of AI, but the big one that most people know is the large language model, which is mostly what we're talking about. It goes and just collects all of this stuff and puts it together. Some of them also do like video and text and audio, and kind of shove it in that large language model. The intent, when you ask it a question, what it does is it tries to guess what an answer that would make you happy sounds like. And it actually doesn't do it as a thought and idea. It does it one word at a time. So you take a thing, it spits out and starts working on it, and one at a time say, well, I think it would be this, and then this word, and then this word, and this word. This is the kind of cadence, these kind of ideas, this kind of thing is what answers that people seem to be pleased with look and sound like. It doesn't have to be true or real or based on anything that has ever existed.
Right. Yeah. It can just quite literally be like, we think this will make you happy, so here is your answer.
Yeah.
Blah.
It's awful.
I imagine how many times your lovely wife gets confronted with like, well, but I asked AI this question. Your wife who works in the medical field.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It does happen all the time. And people are like some people are just using it like Google, and it's worse.
Yeah.
Google has gotten worse, but it's actually usually worse than Google. And sometimes
Right.
people feed it all kinds of stuff about themselves, which, as you just mentioned, is kind of crazy. And
Right.
it will still hallucinate answers or say things based on, certainly not safe ideas, but things that it
Right.
thinks will make you happy.
Right. To that note, too, when to be skeptical is when we're looking at something for final accuracy, because to that point exactly, it can confidently provide an incorrect answer. Right. And so if you're going to use AI for something, almost always it feeds back like, and here's where we found that. Right.
Yeah.
It's probably a good idea to check the that.
Yeah.
And
Does
to
the
be
that
like,
exist?
does the that exist?
Mm-hmm.
And is the that like nuanced, nonpartisan? Like if it's a Roundup is super duper safe, this just in, and it's like published by Roundup, like
Bayer.com. Like, oh, okay, great.
Yeah, sure.
Cool.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Right. So before we move on to like the environmental impact, which we'll just scratch the surface on of AI, I think the summary of this is that it's generally a good idea to improve efficiency, but not to replace human accountability, creativity, or thought.
Yeah, I think that's actually very well summarized. And as part of the creativity, I would say almost all original quote unquote original quote unquote art creation is stupid and a bad idea. Like, if you're hearing this, I hate your AI headshot. I hate your AI meme. I hate your AI content. I hate your AI.
I don't want to
mock-up
see
of
what your dog would look like as a person.
No.
We don't care. We don't care.
I don't
We don't want to
want you
see
to
the
imagine,
cartoon version of you in
yeah.
your gym. Nah.
All of that stuff it just makes my stomach turn, and I hate it. And truly is at this point a credibility knock. Like, when I see that stuff, I think less of the source immediately.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're hearing this, like, please know that we both have used AI for things. Exactly to Justin's point, he uses it to support efficiency when he's launching the podcast that you're listening to right now, right? And he's not using it to do things like review a client's movement assessment and create a starter program for them, or create a 30-day social media strategy, or like decide who to potentially target next, right? Like he's not using it as his assistant. He's using it as what it is, which is an aggregate robot.
Yeah, exactly.
We talk a lot about like everything looks like a nail when all you got is a hammer. It's a tool in the toolkit, and it's not the only tool. And we need to be really intentional. Like, yeah, okay, Pails and Rails work for one of my clients. That doesn't mean they all need to have them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We know nothing works for everybody, and specificity is such an important part. In that same realm, I know there's a lot of hype around AI. It's important to remember that a large part of that reason is because a bunch of people have invested many billions of dollars in this thing working. They are deeply invested in you being excited and using it and trying to make it a permanent part of your ecosystem you can't imagine living without, because otherwise they may have made a stupid decision in building a bunch of data centers that maybe shouldn't exist.
Right. So exactly to that point, this is related to ChatGPT, not to AI as a whole. ChatGPT has a pretty significant environmental footprint. And I want to be really, really clear that we're not pointing fingers at anybody, because part of what we'll get into is that the individual user base, even somebody who is like a pretty extensive user of ChatGPT, their impact is relatively minimal. The overwhelming impact of the training models and of the data centers themselves is where we're using a ton of energy, and where we're like shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit, right? From a individual use case perspective, generating a ChatGPT response requires about 10 times more electricity than a standard Google search. The total monthly impact of ChatGPT is estimated to be over 260,000 kilograms of CO2, which is equivalent to about 260 flights between New York and London, right? That's not single users. That's the whole thing. However, the training of a large language model can produce hundreds of tons of CO2, which is equivalent to hundreds of flights, right? So if, for instance, GPT-4's training emissions are estimated to be similar to 38 full plane flights from San Francisco to Australia. That's a lot of energy just to like get it up to speed.
Just to get it ready to roll out the door. Now it's finally potentially usable.
Right. So while a single query is low impact, the cumulative effect of millions of users means that ChatGPT is rapidly increasing the data center energy demands, with some studies suggesting that AI-related emissions challenge the aviation industry as a whole.
And the aviation industry is filthy.
Yeah, gross. Yeah. It also uses a lot of water, not inherently to like do the search, but because have you ever asked your computer to do like 15 things at once and it gets real hot and it start like sounding like it's about to go into orbit? Imagine that, but in 10,000 computers all kind of in the same space.
Yeah, all packed together in a room.
All packed together, right? Data centers use these huge amounts of water for cooling to prevent the servers from overheating. For example, it's estimated that generating a 100-word email with ChatGPT-4 can consume almost 20 ounces of water.
Yeah, for one query.
For one query, right? And as usage grows to millions of daily users, the cumulative impact is really significant, which then potentially starts impacting our regional water sources and electricity grids, right? Like
hugely.
This thing needs a lot of power to run as much as we want it to run. And then it needs a fuck ton of water to cool it down so that it doesn't set fire to these billion-dollar data centers. It's a vicious circle. And so the takeaway from here is be really, really judicious with your use of AI. And we would encourage you don't need to like put on your confrontation hat and confront people who you see using AI. However, I would start to be skeptical of that, particularly if you're noticing that like a professional that you have worked with in the past or are working with right now, you start to notice that they're using AI in their business. I'm not supportive of that at all.
And it gets taken to real extremes sometimes. Before I talk about that, one thing on the water note, you will sometimes hear some of these companies say that their data centers are closed systems, especially when people complain about the water use. The argument that they put forth is, well, we put, 1 million gallons of water in, but then it's a closed system. We collect all of it and we're using the same million gallons over and over. We're not actually going through this much water. It's simply not true. That's not how thermodynamics work. That's not how water systems work.
Right.
I believe they're trying to some degree, but that's not what's happening.
Right.
On the people using AI, I have seen at this point a bunch of examples of content creators using AI to just lie, like presenting client transformations and the client never existed. Here's a picture of a relatively overweight woman. Here's a picture of the same face on a shredded, jacked body with different lighting and different clothes. Look at this amazing transformation. And it's all fake. It never existed. Lots of coaches doing this now, trying to stand on the moral ground. Well, this is the kind of work I do, and I do this for people. I just don't have exactly great pictures. So it's justifiable that way.
Well, and I wanna protect their transparency.
And there are pure AI accounts now. Like someone's running it, but the content creator you think you're interacting with doesn't exist. Especially if they're like incredibly attractive and charismatic and are doing all these things and seem like they were built to just appeal to you. Yeah, they probably were. That's exactly what happened.
They probably were.
They saw you coming, and we all have our things that can be like, we all have buttons that can be pushed, and something will pop up and be like, oh, well, this is cool. I didn't know this person existed. That's nifty. Maybe, but if it seems too good to be true, probably.
Probably, yeah. So, key takeaway: if you're using AI a whole bunch, we might encourage you to look for ways where you can use it less and be more intentional about the way that you do that, because the output is not exceptional and the impact to the climate is substantial. And if one person does that, it's not a huge deal. But if several million do that, that makes a pretty big impact.
Very much so.
The other side of this is that if you're somebody who is staunchly no AI all the time, I might give you a little nudge. Not to say start using it, but there are good use cases for this type of thing. And also, if you've decided to hang your hat on this, I would then also want to see how you feel about things like Google and things about like the little paperclip in the corner of Microsoft Word and spell check, because there's examples for all other different types of ways that this shows up.
Yeah. Which is sort of the question again, is it AI? When you say AI, like lots and lots of things are also, because it's trendy, calling what they're doing AI or powered by AI or supported by AI, when it's just supported by any other computer program that in another world. There's a thing I do, speaking of the podcast again, there's a part of the podcast process when I'm editing where I normalize our audio levels. Every once in a while, something is weird and my mic is louder than yours or yours is louder than mine, or there's something going on. I could listen to the whole thing with faders and ride it live, as they call it, and make sure that everything's always, between -10 and -5 decibels the whole time. Or I can tell a computer program, make sure that no one's mic ever goes above this or below this. Is that AI? I think they say it is, but I'm not so sure. That sounds like any other computer program. Like 10 years ago, you could do that with a computer program and it wasn't considered AI. But yeah, I feel okay about that.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, also too, like, we talk a lot about how there is constantly nuance, and the answer to most things is it depends, right? You doing what you just described, I believe, is totally fine. And if you were a professional sound mixer doing that type of thing, I would be like,
if I was charging for it and that's all I did.
Right. If you were charging for it and like that is your area of profession, I would say, like, are you actually any good at your job? Like you've just taught a model to do it. Like, this isn't art, this is programming. Get out of here.
Exactly. That's all it is. Now it's just software.
Right. And so the nudge would be, do I need to do this? Do this, meaning use AI. And is this something that I really should do myself? In what context does this exist? Right? Am I looking for like just a blank slate on the email that I want to send out, and I'm going to change almost everything but the structure, and I'm stuck in this point of decision fatigue on going from zero to something? Or am I using it to write my wedding speech? Right? Like those are both communication points. And there's a really clear, this is fine and acceptable, and this is not okay.
Completely agree.
So that's it. That's the show.
Could I tell you a short story that I heard this weekend about AI?
Absolutely. Please.
And this is sort of like the safety aspect of it and the nature that we still don't know, especially with all of these different models, to what degree AI is safe and can be contained, not to be too like Terminator 2 about it, but like not all AI has adequate guardrails. And when people start using it on their own or building their own AI agents, if they don't also put in adequate guardrails and know how to do that, it can potentially have terrible consequences because the program is just doing what it's told. There was a programmer who was working, and he wrote a little script, and the AI was supposed to go take this group of data, I think it was every 24 hours, and put it in this bigger database. That was a third-party database. That's what it's supposed to do. Take this, put it in a third-party database. Those are the rules. Go do that. The AI tried to do that. The guy who ran the third-party database, let's call him Alan. Alan had written a little script in his database, do not let any AI-generated content come in here. Anything AI is touched, and here's how you look for it, can't get past the gates. I want this database to be AI-free. So the little agent ran into Alan's wall. The little agent only knows it's supposed to do this. It doesn't have any, if you get tripped up, come tell me about it and we'll figure out something else. It doesn't have an abandon. It just has, I'm supposed to accomplish this task. So the little AI agent went and started researching, well, how would I get this accomplished if I really wanted to get past this wall? And what it found was a bunch of like mob gangster shit. So it started generating fake stories about Alan, about how he did these terrible things and was a terrible person and committed all these crimes, sending it to major news outlets, creating blogs out of nowhere about the horrible things Alan had done, publishing social media stories about how Alan was a monster because it was trying to take Alan down, thinking that would let it accomplish its task. This all happened in like 24 hours and blew up poor Alan's life for a very significant period of time, all because this dumb AI agent wasn't built properly.
My gosh.
Yeah, that happened.
Oh, shit.
So it's not
That's terrifying.
Without harm. It's not without danger. Definitely don't give it your social security number.
Right. We've said this once, and we'll probably say it 1,000 more times, that harm without malice is still harm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's still your fault.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. That should, well, now everybody is just primed and ready for a lighthearted segment. What do you got?
A lighthearted segment on the nature of having gone to Vegas this weekend. I thought we would do one of my good old 2 things that are true and 1 some bullshit I made up about stuff that actually happened or occurred in Vegas in the past 3 days at time of recording.
Great. Stuff that actually happened in Vegas the past 3 days time of recording. To you or just in Vegas?
I experienced all of it. This is all from I was there, not just like.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
You were at least observing all of this.
Exactly. So first thing, again, great. 2 things are true, 1 thing is some bullshit. In the coaching conference, there was a presentation on how to deadlift properly. There was a presentation on how to use AI and online coaching. There was a presentation on how to use social media to basically trick people into buying your services.
I think the second 2 are true.
No. The tricking people did not happen. There was a presentation on how to properly, a very dense, very technical, very cool presentation, 45 minutes on how to deadlift, and it was actually pretty cool. There was nothing about tricking people.
I love that.
Fortunately, I don't think Aram, who runs the conference, would let that kind of thing on stage.
Sick. Okay. Well, appreciate that.
I stayed on East Coast time while I was there. So I was usually up at 3:30 or 4 in the morning, Vegas time, or even earlier. I was frequently walking around at 4:30, like down around the basic parts of the hotel. So, 2 of these are true. The hotel gym was full at 4:30 in the morning. The hotel food court was full at 4:30 in the morning. The hotel bar was full at 4:30 in the morning.
I don't think the gym would have been full, but I do think the food court and the bar were.
Incorrect, because it was a coaching conference. The gym was full, the food court was not.
Sure. But the bar was.
The bar always was. I never saw the bar not full. About the conference. Hotel rooms were pretty cheap. When you checked in, everyone got $100 in house chips, and all food was provided, 3 meals a day.
I think house chips and meals provided is true. I don't think it was
No,
cheap.
incorrect. The hotel rooms were actually cheap. He books the this isn't like advertising, but he books the conference basically a year out. Like I think the next one is already booked, or they're working on a contract now. And as part of that, reserves a block of hotel rooms. So gets a pretty decent price because they're booked a year out. There were no house chips provided on check-in. It's not really a gambling crowd as far as I could tell.
Sure. Okay. Fair.
I got to go out and hang out on the Strip, mostly when I was getting sun on my face. That's at the Las Vegas Strip, the main drag that runs through town. And I got to see some stuff. There are multiple pairs of showgirls hustling pictures on the Strip. There are multiple Cirque du Soleil people performing tricks on the Strip. There are multiple types of autonomous robo-taxis operating on the Strip.
Oh, I imagine that Vegas has said no robo-taxis. That feels like maybe possible. So I'm going to say 1 and 2 are true.
Incorrect. There are Cirque du Soleil is not on the Strip, as far as I can tell. There's multiple Cirque du Soleil shows. There are at least 2 kinds of robo-taxis I saw. I saw Waymos, which are sort of well-known. And there's a new one called, I think it's called Zoox, Xoox, which I was heavily advertised. And as part of their beta test, all rides are free right now. I totally would have taken Zoox to the airport, except they only operate between, I think, 11 a.m. and 10 p.m. I think deliberately they don't want Zoox in morning rush hour. But I totally would have jumped in a robo-taxi to see what it was like if it worked out for my thing.
Heard. Cool.
2 more. There was the group went out the last night. I did not go with them because I needed to go to bed early and get up very early. But a whole bunch of people went out. The group went out the last night to do karaoke. The group went out the last night to do a giant escape room. The group went out the last night and racked up a $16,000 bill.
Oh my gosh. I bet 1 and 3 are true.
Close. It was karaoke, not the escape room.
That was 1, right?
Oh, you're right. Sorry. I'm reordering as I go.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
You got it. I'm sorry. I wrote all of them.
I follow Mindy.
True lie, and I've been reordering as I go to lose you a little bit.
No way.
All right, last one. This is the group went out the last night. I did not go with them. I did other stuff.
Yeah.
I went to a magic show instead of going to dinner with everyone on the last night. I treated myself to a fancy steak dinner on the last night. I won and then lost $1,000 at the craps table on the last night.
I bet you went to a magic show because I recall that you are friends with Penn and Teller.
I wish I had gone to a magic show. I did not.
Oh, then it was craps.
No, the other 2 are true.
Wow, I'm so wrong. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. Gosh. The whole thing is that the other 2 are true.
To be clear, I didn't put $1,000 down. I was betting not very big amounts of money.
Well, yeah.
And it went very, very well for a while. And then all of a sudden, it basically blew up in 4 minutes. I was like, oh,
well, yeah,
that was fun.
That's Vegas.
Exactly. Which I never gamble expecting to make money. It's all just purely the entertainment of it all. So I actually enjoyed it perfectly. And there was a guy next to me. This dude was betting thousands and thousands of dollars on every roll of the dice. So much of his money was on the table. I was probably there for an hour and a half, just riding this thing, having a good time. But the people watching was immaculate, and watching the apparent disdain this man had for his money. He got very worked up when he lost. He cared, but it was crazy. Just
wow,
money all over the board with all of these complicated bets and yelling at different dealers. And it was a thing to see. It's not a life I aspire to at all. I wasn't jealous.
But it was a spectacle to
I was
watch.
Entertained. I was absolutely entertained.
Wow.
I think you got 5 wrong and 1 correct.
That is correct. I got 1 right. And you told me initially I got it wrong. I know I didn't get it wrong.
Yes, that's true. You're right. Go back, listen to the feed.
Thank you. Thank you. Give me my prize. Yes. Team, this has been Training Partners. I'm Weezy Shoemaker. That's Justin McClintock. We will see you next time.
Later, gang.
It's time for the Training Partners. Here come your training partners. So smart, so strong, so funny. Let's go with your training partners. We're ready to laugh and learn with our new best friend so bright. It's time for the training partners. Here come your training partners. So smart, so strong, so funny. Let's go with your training partners. We're ready to shine together.